Shoutout, Sniper T on the beat.
Tamara to the break of dawn is on the rise, with life on the forefront of the mind. So line for line, you can ride this brain train and you can change your station without even touching the dial. So relax, stay a little bit, but listen for a while. And whether you're bumping this in the whip or in a business fit, it's a meeting you won't want to miss. A meeting for a meal to feed the soul with words for the mind. So sit back, enjoy the ride. Time to take off, it's time to fly. Cause Tamara till the break of dawn is on the rise.
Hey y'all, hey, it's me, Tamara. Tamara. Yes, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're new episodes drop every Thursday, so make sure you come back through. And all my loyal supporters that continue to listen to me, I definitely appreciate y'all. If you're not, you should totally be following me on social media. So switch things up, but the link to my social media is on the podcast tab of my website. It's kind of crazy. I started a Facebook page and IG page for my business, and I decided that because like at the top of my website there's like Facebook, IG, Twitter, but I decided to have that go to my business page instead of my personal. So then I put the link to my personals on the podcast tab. Nevertheless, maybe I'll just put that in the episode notes. I don't know. We'll see. Just look and see where it is. You know what I'm saying? But follow me on social media. You know what I'm saying? I do follow back. Let's see what other announcements before I get into this episode. Oh, podcast happy hour. So again, I'm pretty sure that we're going to be having it on Friday, August 20th. If that changes, listen next week to make sure. I'll be posting it on social media. See, you got to follow me on social media. But 9 Eastern, 8 Central, 6 Pacific. I'm pretty sure it's kind of pretty standard. It's on Autumn's platform, Lit Life Podcast. Her link to her Twitter is in the episode notes literally every week for all the podcast happy hour crew. So make sure you come through. Y'all, this is our 1-year anniversary that we've been doing this thing. It's just, wow. It's crazy that, I don't know, that we're just still doing this. For me, whenever I'm consistent with something, I'm usually pretty proud of myself because that can be an area that I struggle in. So yeah, it's a 1-year anniversary special. We got some special, podcast happy hour. You really never know what it's going to be anyway, just because how we are. We actually do, Autumn actually does have some stuff planned for this episode. So yeah, make sure you check us out. This week's podcast shout out goes out to The Path Went Chilly. Now, I have not listened to this particular podcast yet, but one of the hosts is the host of Riddle Me That True Crime podcast. And so Jules is her name, but which I hope, I don't have any of this written down. So if I'm wrong, I apologize because I suck at names and normally I write this down, but I thought I would remember. So I'm sorry. I'm pretty sure her name is Jules though. But I do listen to that show. Have not listened to this one, but basically it's just The Path Went Chilly. Like it's almost like cold cases and kind of diving into it. And I like the way on her show, even the way she does true crime. So hell, check out Riddle Me That podcast, Riddle Me That True Crime podcast as well, because she is like I don't know if she's a psychologist or what she is, but she always dives into like the psychological aspect of the person, the killer or whatever. And I like that just because I always want to know the why behind anybody doing anything and what's your rationale and all that good stuff. So yeah, definitely check her podcast out. Both of them, The Path Went Chilly or Riddle Me That True Crime podcast. I guess that's it. So let's get into it. So yes, new equipment. Don't even know what it's called. It looks like a sound booth, like there's foam and my mic can sit on it, and then it came with this pop filter, which if you're watching, you can kind of see the top of it. The light that they got me just gives me, I'm using actually both lights. So the ring light that I had, and then this light just gives me like the perfect lighting combination. You know what I'm saying? I've really been out here just, upgrading a little bit. If you watching, you see I got the overlay on the screen now. Because I've never been a fan of the fact that when I do a solo episode on StreamYard, you can't like you can't see anything, you can't see the background. I've never been a fan of that. And yeah, I would have the logo up in the corner, but I really like this a lot better. I spent yesterday, I was actually supposed to have my first client meeting and they ended up having to cancel, which I'm glad that happened early. It's funny because I was supposed to be my first appointment, but I'm glad that happened early just because it lets me know how I'm going to respond to that. Because in all things, and I tweeted this the other day, I'm generally the type of person that if it's for me, it's for me. If it's supposed to happen, it's going to happen. And so when things don't happen, while there may be slight disappointment at first, I never really tripped too hard off of it because it either wasn't for me or wasn't supposed to happen. And I don't want that. The beautiful thing, though, about this person canceling is that then I was able to get a bunch of stuff done that I didn't necessarily have to do it, but you have stuff that you kind of want to do. And so I was able to just spend, I want to say I was at my office for like 5-6 hours uninterrupted, just by myself and just getting stuff done. I got all my social media posts created and scheduled for next week for my business page, which that's a little different because, with my personal page is Twitter's a little different because I ain't about to have more than one Twitter. But for my personal IG and Facebook, it just is what it is. You're gonna hear about the podcast. Yeah, you're gonna hear about my business. Yeah, you're gonna see the blog, but it's like no rhyme or reason to how I really do stuff other than on certain days I do certain things related to podcasting, blogging. But with my business page, I've had to plan things out and I'm just a very more structured social media person with my business page. I didn't think that was in me. I thought I was someone who needs to be more free spirited than that. So it's interesting how when you're put in different type of scenarios, how you see the things that are in you that you didn't even know were there. Because I've always said that I'm not this, I'm not that. Like I've always said, I'm not the kind of person that plans things out before I do it. I'm the kind of person that just dives in and figures it out, excuse me. But that's not who I am as a business owner. As a business owner, I had to write my standard operating procedures first, which means that I had to think about what do I want to do before I've ever done it. I had to create all my service documents first. Again, what do I want to do, or how do I want to do what I need to do? And so that's kind of why my company's rolling out in phases, because it was either wait till it's all ready and still be not doing anything, and or start somewhere and build on that. And you really shouldn't be surprised that I kind of chose that route, because that's kind of how I am. And that still falls into the dive in and figure it out as I go. I just had to have a better foundation. So glad, because anything related to standard operating procedures, I'm ready. People just got to show up. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to create anything. I don't have to whatever. So really right now I'm spending a lot of time creating content, but then also preparing the other phases and doing other stuff. Plus trying to keep up on my show, blogging, life, kids, my full-time job, trying to find a place. Y'all, if you're watching, you probably notice a different background. I feel like, y'all, in the last 2 months, I am now in my fourth place. I feel like a traveling sales person or whatever. And I always joke, which I'm the kind of person, if I can't joke about it, then it doesn't need to happen because I make jokes out of everything. But I can't even tell you the amount of times that I've said something something with my homeless ass. Like that's my response because technically I am. Have I been on the streets? No, you know what I'm saying? But actually I'm at my mom's house now, and I was at my brother's. I didn't like nothing happened. That's still my favorite sibling. That was my favorite sibling before that, mainly because that's always been the sibling who I felt like I related to the most, that we were more similar. We would talk a lot about different stuff, you know what I'm saying, prior to me staying there. But I really feel like for me, like I was almost there 2 months. Really, I feel like solidified our bond even in a different way because it's like I kind of really got to see like up close and personal day to day him, the man, you know what I'm saying? Which is really cool. But me doing my due diligence trying to find a place, you know what I'm saying? That's literally all I spend my time. Okay, that's not true. Not all I spend my time, but I spend a lot of time amidst everything else that I'm doing trying to find a place. And it just became this thing like no matter what I tried to do, no matter if I tried to schedule appointments, even I took this past Friday off and I'm like, okay, I'm about to just go out here, me and my oldest daughter, because she's 19, so she actually has to sign the lease. And I'm like, we're just gonna go out here, we're gonna go find somewhere, and even if all I can do is put a deposit down, like it ain't ready yet, at least I'll know where I'm going, bruh. Then it's we ain't got nothing available. So it's just been this. I've really felt like I was chasing the wind. Like no matter what I tried to do to try to find a place, it wasn't working. And so he is a single person, no kids. He has it's like a one bedroom, but then he has kind of like a den where his office is, living room, dining room, one bathroom. There is a washer and dryer, and a kitchen. So it's really not set up for all of us, especially when we were talking about it the other day. I'm like, for if it was like a couple and a kid, that probably could work. But when you basically have two separate families in a sense, you know what I'm saying? It was a lot. And I could endure when I was thinking, okay, this is only going to be a few weeks or it's only going to be whatever. But when I'm trying and trying and trying and I don't know how long I'm going to be there, and then it's kind of like, as you know, my daughter, she's kind of been struggling and she's out of the hospital or whatever. But when she just gets in her modes of needing space, you're going to know that she needs space. And then when she's in her mode, I need space. Like we just need space. You know what I'm saying? And so, like I told him, I mean, probably if it would have been me by myself, I would have just stayed because it was fine. But initially, that's not such a long story, but initially it was just me anyway, because we all kind of split up and she was staying with a friend. Kayliana's still in the same place that she's been in or whatever. But nevertheless, there is more space at my mom's house. So here I am until, this is the last background y'all gonna see. I said that last time, but for real, I'm not leaving anywhere else until I find a place. And we were thinking apartment because that would have been the quicker route, just because you don't need as much up front trying to move in there. But Kayliana and I kind of really talked about it that day we were together because it was just the two of us. And she reminded me that I never wanted to live in an apartment anyway. And if y'all remember older episodes, I've complained about being in an apartment because, excuse me, I just don't like feeling like everybody's right there. Like even being at my brother's apartment, though it was a nicer apartment than mine, and also some of the things that like it didn't smell stinky in the hallway and all that weird stuff, in the summertime and whatnot, that ultimately was a thing where I live and whatever. But still, it's just apartments are just still so weird to me because it's like you're in your own apartment, but somebody could be walking in the hallway, but they're not there for you. And you don't really always know what's going on. And I mean, I guess it could be like that at a house, but you're not going to hear it. And it's just, people are not going to come up to your door to go to somebody else's house. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's really going to be walking past your front door unless they're knocking on your front door. You know what I'm saying? Like if they're intentionally trying to come into your house. And so Kayliana reminded me of that. And I'm just like, you know what? You're right. So it may take a little longer because I got to save up more money. Because also, you know, I've talked about this on here, the financial stress that my previous job when I was doing gang intervention kind of put me in, with the always delayed payments. And it wasn't necessarily my boss's fault, but it was the people we were contracted to moving slow or whatever. And it just really, it's been this hole that I'm trying to pull myself out of. And so I've actually been like kind of started paying off old debt in the midst of all this too, since I haven't technically had to pay rent right now. Now it's not like taking up all my money, but still, I'm really just trying to get myself back together because I worked really hard to get where I was. And that's just life sometimes, though. Sometimes you got to keep rebuilding, keep starting over, whatever. But I just really have the mindset that if I'm still breathing, setbacks are going to happen. That's number one. Setbacks are going to happen. But if I'm still breathing, I have a chance to bounce back from it. And I mean, I'm 41, just now starting my company, but I don't feel like it's, oh, it's too late, or, you know, we got to get out of this mindset of feeling like things have to happen at a certain time on other people's timetables. Yes, for some people, certain things happen earlier in life or whatever. But for me, what I know is that the last decade of me being in this field and all the lessons that I learned with that, and then all the other things that I've done up to that, has really been preparing me for such a time as this. So I follow Tabitha Brown on Instagram, and I don't usually, you know, shout out other people and what I heard from them or whatever, but I really do like her content because it's very encouraging. A lot of times it's what I need to hear. And she had this video where she was saying how at different ages she thought she was ready for, you know, kind of like the success that she has now, but she wasn't. You know what I'm saying? And that's like me too. At different stages in life, I thought I was ready for certain things, like working for myself. Technically, I don't fully, because I still have my full-time job, but that's been a desire for a long time in different ways that I've tried to make it happen. It just didn't work out the way I wanted it to, but really it was all preparing me, excuse me, for now, so that I have all the lessons that I have. And it's kind of funny because if you follow my business page, you notice that my content is, it's me. If you know me, like, this is always how I'm talking. I mean, I guess as listeners, you shouldn't be surprised that I'm posting that type of stuff, but it's just funny because I share it on my personal page, and it's like people, I feel like people, and that's how it's always been with me. People always try to put me into this box of who they think I am and how they think I am. And I'm not just petty, although I am. I'm not just a deep thinker, although I am. I'm not just someone whose faith is important to them, although that's a thing. I'm not just someone who's trying to encourage you, although that's a thing. I'm also someone who has a lot of professional knowledge, and I'm also someone who's just, in all things, I'm all about efficiency. I don't care what we're doing. My daughter and I were moving my stuff out of our stuff, I should say, out of my brother's apartment to bring it over to my mom's house. And she went to take something down, and I'm like, okay, well, where are you going to put that? Because it's like, if you've moved, you know, you got to think like Tetris, like Tetris. That's how you say that, Tetris. You got to think like that. Like, you can't have this big old truck or even an SUV or a van or whatever you have and just throw things in there any old kind of way. Like, you got to make it fit right so that you can get the most out of your space. That's what I got to do with my time. So I create like I'll take Saturdays to do that 5 hours that I spent Saturday doing stuff means I don't have to do it during the week. You know what I'm saying? Cuz so I'm trying to get to a place of like being more ahead, and so it's kind of like in all things I'm about efficiency, but I'm also somebody who thinks professionalism is very important. Even in podcasting, there needs to be a level of professional etiquette, you know what I'm saying, within networking. Because here's the thing, and y'all know as podcasters, you really can't even expect your family and friends a lot of time to like share your content. They may listen, they may congratulate you and have different conversations with you in person, but for some reason people don't maybe they just don't understand the purpose of being a content creator or what it means to you. But it's so funny the difference between podcasting, blogging versus me starting a company. You know what I'm saying? I'm going somewhere with this, but I'm going to sidebar because so many people will share my stuff from my business Facebook page. And I'm not like hundreds of people. We ain't going to say all that. But when you go from, I can only think of 2 people that would consistently share my, and I'm talking about Facebook because Facebook is my friends and family. So this ain't got nothing to do with the podcasters, IG, none of that, because y'all get it. That's why y'all do it, but they don't get it. You know what I'm saying? So I have maybe 1, 2 people that will consistently share my posts. But ever since I started my company, so many people are sharing my posts and I appreciate it. But the content creator, I'm that too. Like, yes, I started a company, but I am a content creator. That's always been important to me way before I started podcasting. I told you, blogging was a thing, or I've always had to have, I should say, some sort of creative outlet. But let me backtrack. You can't expect your family or friends or whatever to like support you the way you think you think they should or whatever. You know what I'm saying? You share all this stuff, you may not get to get any shares from them. They may see it, they may listen, but they don't understand the part about sharing it and whatever, that level of support. It looks different for everybody, so this is no shade to anybody. But my point is, so then you can't expect that from people you don't know. And so many people, it still happens. It doesn't bother me as much because I look at the industry a little bit different. I do have my people that I'm super cool with, and it's at different levels depending on who it is. So this isn't the point of that. But I look at it like work. So, you have the coworkers that you real cool with more than the other. The politics of the industry still I'm not a fan of, but it just doesn't bother me. I ignore DMs sometimes when people just follow me and then I follow them back, and then they hop in with this whole sales pitch about how much my support would mean to them. And I always think like, if it was me, first of all, always look at people's bio and kind of see what they're about before I follow them back, or if I decide to follow people, because let's not make it seem like I don't follow people first. But if it was me on the other end of that and I was trying to gain the support of somebody, this is where the professionalism and the etiquette needs to come into play. Is I would say follow for follow, or review swapping. I used to do stuff like that. Like, make it mutually beneficial. Let's not act like people owe us something just because we have this goal and this dream, whatever it is that we're working towards. You know what I'm saying? Like, I appreciate all my friends and family, if you happen to be listening, who share my business posts, but I don't expect that. Now, sometimes, actually, I don't even say please share. I usually say please follow, so y'all could see, you know what I'm saying, what I'm doing, especially because I post encouraging content on there that hopefully is going to inspire you to try to achieve your goals, because that's just who I am. But I appreciate y'all, but I don't expect it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I appreciate all the people that retweet groups aside, because there's kind of an expectation that we're supposed to share each other's content. But the rest of y'all that just see my tweets on the timeline, the rest of y'all that share my IG stuff to your stories just because, I appreciate it. But I also don't expect it. Like, I put it out there because I want you to see it and I want you to hear it or read it or whatever. But I don't have this expectation that anybody owes me anything, because they don't. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like all these things are just who I am. And so the people that know me and have known me for a long time, like the person that I was supposed to meet with, one of the things he said, because he said, I went to your website and I was looking at all the stuff you do. And he's like, I'm not surprised you do that, because that's what you've been doing. Like, these are all the things I've been teaching in my career, teaching the kids or just helping people, at past jobs, not really at my present job. It's more so the training and coaching aspect or whatever, or just helping people set goals in my previous role at this job. I guess even now too, helping people set goals and trying to help them, holding them accountable to reach their goals or whatever. But this is all the stuff I've been doing. I mean, even youth ministry. Like, I don't know, this is just who I am. So it's just funny. The whole point of all this is like, you get people where they have this idea of who they think you are. And I never trip off that. I laugh, especially on social media. I laugh at a lot of stuff. And it's even getting that way in conversations with people in real life. I used to feel like I would need to explain way more than I do now. But what I realize is people are going to think what they're going to think regardless. And the whole point is, I got to know my worth. If I know my worth and I know who I am, then when people say things about me or accuse me of things that I would not do, which I had a situation like that happen earlier this week where somebody was telling me something they heard that somebody said about me, that's something I would not even do. You know what I'm saying? Like, nowhere in my mind is that who I am as a person, or do I even think like that? And that used to piss me off, because I feel like I do a pretty good job of being pretty transparent and like trying to go above and beyond to explain myself to people. But I've just reached this point in life where I'm just like, you know what? People are going to think what they're going to think regardless. So just let them. And if they have me wrong, that's okay. You know what I'm saying? Why? Because I know who I am. Now, if they ask me questions or whatever, then okay, yeah, I'm a clarifier. Or somebody else, like when this person came to me and said whatever, I'm like, nope, it's not even like that. But outside of that, it's kind of like, when you know your worth, you don't really, now it may irritate you, it may whatever. I'm not saying you're not, you just a whole stone-hearted person out here and you don't have no kind of feelings, but it's not gonna, like, for one, it's definitely not going to alter your understanding or perception of yourself. So that's number one. But number two, you're not really going to trip off of it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, you know what it is, you know who you are and all that. And so that's really it's just been really interesting. That's kind of just where I'm at. I don't really have much else I wanted to talk to y'all about. I feel like, nope, I really don't. I'm just really grind mode right now, and it's interesting because I really have to make choices, I will say this, and sacrifices. And for the past I want to say since May, I've been getting at different times invited to be a guest on different people's shows, and it hasn't been the same person. It's been like, it's not like the same person keeps asking me, like different people I wouldn't have even thought they, you know what I'm saying? Because you don't know who wants you on for whatever reason. And I've turned them all down because it's kind of like, I got to make sure that I'm investing in my dream. So that's the sacrifice I have to make, because for me, I like being a guest on other people's show. Y'all notice I haven't had many guests on my show. I haven't done the monthly live shows outside of podcast happy hour. We're going to get back to that maybe next month. I thought maybe August, but no, definitely not August. We're gonna get back to it, but I've been able to keep the main thing, which is making sure y'all get an episode every week, making sure my blog drops. Now it's every Monday. Before it was twice a month, but I need to get stuff out every week. Making sure that my business, because I have a certain schedule that I want to have all the phases launched by, and it's kind of like that's the important thing. Snatch 40s. Hopefully, by the time y'all hear this, you will have started seeing some workout posts again, because I really just, I mean, a month in the grand scheme of how my journey has been over the years, a month isn't even that long, but I got to get back to it. But the good thing is that I've stayed on top of the whole diet piece of it. Like, we had pizza last night. So it's not like I'm just, clean eating all the time. But I really try to have the motto of, if I'm going to feel lethargic after I eat it, I minimize those foods. It's really all about what's going to make me feel good. Yeah, it tastes good, of course. I'm not out here eating, food that don't taste good, but it's really about, I have a very busy schedule. I have a lot of stuff I'm trying to do, have to do. I'm even doing this whole fresh start thing I told y'all about last week, where I'm processing the issues of my heart. That's every Monday in August. And so I'm trying to do, that just reminds me, because today's Sunday, I got to do my homework. It got homework, you know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of stuff I'm trying to do right now, and I don't have time to be feeling lethargic. I don't have time to be not having energy. So that's kind of the, I guess, mindset I use with cheating, you know what I'm saying, eating and stuff like that. But hopefully by the time y'all whatever, because there's more space here. That was the thing too. There wasn't space, once my daughter came to really, and I forget, walk. I really need to work out in the mornings. I tried to switch my stuff to the evenings, but I really need to work out in the mornings. I need to just get it out the way. I need the evenings to do other stuff. I'm trying to start a whole company, or technically I started, but launching the rest of the phases or whatever. So, but it just wasn't going to work to do that there, because she'd be asleep and I didn't really want to, do all that. But the cool thing is my mom has a treadmill here. So I think I'm going to just start with that to kind of like get my body used to just activity again, because I really have done nothing for the past, since, what is this, August 8th? So, well, as I'm recording, I haven't done anything since like the end of June. Like, I don't know. So that's, yeah, it was like June. It was either the last day or the 29th. I can't remember. But either way, it's been a while. So just get back into that. I brought my weights in. They were at my brother's, then they were in my trunk. So I brought them in, and I'm at least get on that starting tomorrow. So Monday. So this is why I tell y'all these things, because now I got to make sure I do it, even if I end up doing it in the evenings, because y'all gonna listen, and it might be somebody that goes to my page to see if it's some posts or not, or so I'm the kind of person that if I say I'm gonna do something to the public, really anybody, my pride doesn't want to let me not do what I say to do. So either I won't say it or I'm gonna do it. So tomorrow we get back on the Snatched 40s as far as the workout portion journey. So yeah, this is what I'm on. You know what I'm saying? Y'all notice my episodes are shorter, and that's cool, because as long as I give y'all content, it don't gotta be a whole hour. I know nobody's tripping anyway, but as always, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you are taking care of your mental and emotional health. So important. Like, so important. And it's so important to understand how you're wired. Sidebar, I was at church earlier today, so make sure you take care of your spiritual health, you know what I'm saying? But I was at church earlier today, and my pastor was talking about how a lot of times, he was really talking about the pandemic, the last 18 months, people had security and this, that, and the other, like jobs, houses, and just everything we've been through. And he was just kind of doing a check on like how you guys, not like a question and answer, but how we doing emotionally, how we doing spiritually, and all these things. Because I mean, a lot of people, now I was fortunate enough, I didn't lose my job. Moving isn't because of the pandemic, you know what I'm saying? So, but a lot of people's lives, I mean, people lost loved ones, which, I mean, technically, my uncle that passed away, I talked about that last week. He had an underlying lung disease. I can't remember what it was called, and my mom and my grandma have both told me, and I can never remember. Doesn't even matter. But he caught COVID. I don't know if I said that last week or not, but he caught COVID. So did my granny, both fully vaccinated. I might have said this last week, I don't remember, but I'm gonna say it now. And because he had those underlying health issues, it just made his lungs just, obviously he never recovered. And so like a lot of people though have lost loved ones to COVID. A lot of people have been through a lot. And what I realize is stability is something that's super important to me. It's always been important to me to have if like let me think. Like even in scenarios where I can't control stuff, like I remember when I went through my divorce, for example, and separated from my ex, living in a different place, but my kids kept going to the same daycare so they could have some sort of stability so that something feels similar even though it's different. And it's just crazy because with me having lived in 4 different places in the last 2 months, what I realize is how much, as though that used to be like top notch important thing for me, now I realize it's still important, but if I don't have it, I can be okay. Like the first thing I do when I come into a new space, because when we left the department, I made sure I had all my work stuff, all my podcasting stuff. I have a table and different things to have my setups that I need. And the first thing I do whenever I get to a new place is set up all my work and podcast stuff, because that's, you know what I'm saying? And so it's just been really interesting because I never really realized how important that is. I also never really realized how much shame I carry for different things, you know what I'm saying? That having all this time to think and reflect as I've had in this pandemic has really allowed me, for me, I feel like I'm in a lot of ways better off than I was before it began because of the growth. I mean, I wouldn't have all this extra time to invest in my business. Now, in some ways I would, but because I don't have the commute, or because on my lunch break, I do stuff. I've recorded an episode on a lunch break one time, you know what I'm saying? And I wouldn't have my you know, podcast stuff, my computer and all that stuff if I was at work. But since I'm at home, I have everything. So it's, for me, in some ways, but in some ways it's kind of been a blessing. But yeah, I've realized a lot, and I've grown. I'm a way different person than I was when the pandemic started. So it's always about growth and development for me. That's why I'm always encouraging y'all. Hey, do a check. Make sure you're good mentally, emotionally. Don't be out here faking like you're okay when you're not, because people could tell. Like when something's bothering you, you could try to, oh, I'm living my best life all you want to, but those around you that love you and care about you can tell when you're not okay. You know what I'm saying? Like my kids, the older they get, the more that I realize how well they know me, because they can vocalize things that when they were little they couldn't have or wouldn't have, but now that they're older, they notice things, and it's just really interesting. So it's like, even if I try to fake like I'm okay when I'm not, they're not going to be disrespectful, but they're going to, are you good? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, make sure you're taking care of your mental and emotional health always. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you're taking care of yourself physically, getting good sleep, eating foods that are good for you. Not saying you can't eat junk, but man, especially if I mean, I'm getting older, so it's like, it's harder to reverse the negative effects the older you get, you know what I'm saying? And then make sure you're healthy in your relationships, you know what I'm saying? If you have an issue with somebody, or if you whatever, man, deal with that. It may mean you part ways, it may mean whatever, but you got to deal with stuff. You can't be out here acting like everything is all cool when it's not. And you also can't be out here toxic. Like, if you are doing things that are toxic, you need to stop it. People got enough stuff going on than to be, you know what I'm saying, trying to deal with your foolishness. So that's my encouragement. I definitely appreciate y'all as always listening and all that good stuff. Like I said, podcast happy hour is Friday the 20th on Autumn's platform. Follow her on Twitter, follow all the girls. The link is in the episode notes. It's going to be at 9 Eastern, 8 Central, 6 Pacific. Come through one time for the, you know what I'm saying, 1 year anniversary. I guess that's it. So I will talk to y'all next week. Bye.
Ladies and gents, this concludes transmission. Tune in next time for a whole new edition. Another adventure and mission to share, be heard, and clarify the vision of this whole new world for